Member for Maylands.
Acting Speaker. This is my first opportunity to respond to a state budget as the member for Maylands, and it is a privilege to rise in this place and speak on behalf of a community I love and have served for many years in local government and now in Parliament. This budget continues the Cook Labor government's strong and responsible financial management, delivering their 7th consecutive operating surplus and striking the right balance between delivering for the community and making sure that the budget remains in a sustainable position over the long term, ensuring the ability to respond to the uncertainties of the future given the current global turmoil while driving economic resilience. Additionally, this budget ensures that net debt remains at manageable levels. This is particularly important when you consider that in the time the Liberals were in power from 2008, they managed to rack up structural deficits in excess of $2 billion per annum, leaving Labor with having to deal with over $40 billion in debt. As a share of the WA economy, net debt is now forecast to remain below 10% between now and 2028-29, by far the lowest in all Australian jurisdictions. Importantly, lower debt means less money wasted on interest payments. Treasury estimates that around $4.6 billion in interest payments have been saved due to the lower debt under the Cook government, funds that can be redirected to critical community initiatives. Underpinned by continuing responsible economic management, this budget delivers real outcomes for the people of Maylands. It includes major infrastructure investments, targeted cost of living relief, support for small businesses and significant funding for schools and hospitals. It also delivers on a wide range of local election commitments I made during the campaign. Accordingly, local priorities are on track, and I'll continue to work with ministers and agencies to ensure that every promise is delivered in full. At this point, I would like to focus on 3 particular areas that are important to many in Maylands: culture and the creative industries, public transport and education. I began playing piano when I was very young and took up the French horn in primary school. My parents saw the value of music, making sure it was part of my life. And in my late teens, I started playing keys in rock and roll bands. So when I talk about culture, I'm not talking in the abstract. I'm talking about people, young people finding their voice, performers needing to pay the rent, and artists who at times are assumed to be okay with giving away their work for free because we sometimes forget that the work of an artist is legitimate work. This budget makes significant investments in Western Australia's cultural life, including the contemporary music sector through the Live Music Support Package. This is especially important for Maylands and for WA. We have some of the best musical talent in the country, arguably the world, but distance and scale means it's often harder for WA artists to get the same breaks. That's why this funding is important. It's not just about live music, it's about sustainable creative careers, local jobs and opportunities that allow our stories to be told and heard. In addition, this budget funds the Perth Concert Hall redevelopment, a project I wholeheartedly support. For decades, this building has hosted extraordinary performances, whether that be by the West Australian Symphony Orchestra, touring rock and roll acts, or school performances, just to name a few, but it's now in need of renovation and modernisation. This funding ensures it can remain one of our state's premier concert venues for decades to come. Just as important as supporting artists and performers is ensuring that every child can experience the arts. That's why I'm so proud of the Access All Areas Pass for Kids. This initiative will give local young people the opportunity to visit an arts, cultural or creative venue which will increase young people's engagement with WA's world-leading arts and culture at a key time in their development by offsetting the cost of ticket purchases, giving them the opportunity to broaden minds and light the spark of lifelong curiosity. Importantly though, the program will also support our local creative sector driving increased visitation to venues and events, and putting well-earned money into the pockets of local artists, venue staff, event planners and production teams. I would now like to make a few comments in relation to public transport. Metronet has been transformative for the Maylands electorate. This is particularly as a result of the upgraded Bayswater train station, now the second largest station in the metro area, as well as the Morley station as part of the new Ellenbrook line. These projects have resulted in more people within the electorate having access to world-class public transport. That's why I'm so pleased to see the budget introduce the suburban flat fare. This significant cost of living program, commencing from 1 January next year, will cap public transport fares across the Perth metro area to just $2.80 on an auto-load smart rider. Now let me spell out what that means. Someone in Bayswater can now travel to Fremantle, to Mandurah, to Joondalup or to the airport for the same flat fare. And it means someone living in a two-zone area in Embleton or Morley will pay just $2.80 to get into the CBD. And for school students, they will continue to be able to ride for free in Western Australia. Together, these measures make WA one of the most affordable states in the country for public transport, while at the same time boosting patronage, helping to reduce emissions, and ensuring more people have access. This shows that the Cook Labor government is serious about reducing cost of living pressures, making public transport a practical and attractive option for more people, thereby improving the lives of Maylands electorate locals. Changing tack again, I'll now make a few comments about an issue that has come up again and again in Maylands: the need for an out-of-school hours care service for the Maylands Peninsula Primary School community. For years, parents have struggled to find before and after school care, meaning they've had to cobble together arrangements, change work hours, or worse, pull out of the workforce entirely. This affects families, putting pressure on working parents who are just trying to do the right thing and make ends meet. That's why I'm so pleased that this budget includes funding to support out-of-school hours care for Maylands Peninsula Primary School. I want to thank the school community for their tireless advocacy in this issue, and I look forward to seeing this commitment be delivered, supporting local working families in Maylands. While we are on school-related subjects, I'll take this opportunity to note the importance of the school breakfast program, ensuring students have the best start to the day to prepare themselves to be the best learners they can. But it is also an important school community event. We know in many cultures, sharing food does more than just fill the belly. It creates connections and builds bonds. And school breakfast programs achieve just that among students, teachers, and the wider school community. I recently had the opportunity to join the school community at John Forrest Secondary College for their breakfast club, organised by the school P&C and delivered along with staff and students. This currently happens once a week. The atmosphere was awesome, and for me, seeing the enthusiasm and involvement of both staff and students at John Forrest was really amazing. Folks prepared and served the food together with toast, cereal and cheese toasties providing popular choices, and the shared effort built a strong sense of community spirit. It was also very generous of everyone there to let me get involved with some of the prep and dare to eat the toasties I made. I haven't yet received any reports of food poisoning, so hopefully I got it right. And in recognising the importance of these programs, this budget commits to their expansion and extension. That means that Breakfast Club at schools such as John Forrest Secondary College will happen more often each week, a great result for students and the school community alike. As I mentioned earlier in my speech, this budget contains funding and planning commitments for many other local projects within the Maylands electorate, commitments I made during the campaign. While time doesn't allow me to go into detail on each, what is important is the way in which many of these commitments support local organisations, grassroots sporting clubs, arts organisations, community groups, along with our local schools. These are the things that make a difference. They may not always grab headlines, but they help to build communities and improve people's lives. In conclusion, this is a budget that delivers for our state and for the Maylands electorate, not just in dollars and cents, but in opportunities, fairness and vision. It is a budget that is focused on continuing the Cook Labor government's strong and responsible financial management, but doing so in a way that balances supporting the community and making sure that we remain in a sustainable position over the long term. Coupled with a strong WA economy, the engine room of the nation, the budget ensures this government has the ability to respond to any future shocks while driving economic resilience. This budget is also focused on delivering on the ground. As someone who is part of the Maylands community, I know the difference these investments will make. And to the people of Maylands, as your representative in this place, I'll keep working to make sure the promises we've made are delivered, ensuring real outcomes for our community. I commend the budget to the House.